Hey, shout out to everybody who came out today. Welcome to Khaliis. Take. If it's your first time, please like, subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so you can get the newest content and you can get my bonus videos here on the weekends. Um, let's just talk about the day after. And what I mean by that is this is the day after the game where the Clippers let a game go against the Dallas Mavericks, a team they played last year in the first round, and a team that they beat the first game last year in the first round. And last year they ended up winning the series in 6 games, and that's still very possible this series as well. It's just that when you look at this team from an overall standpoint, where do they really go from here? I mean, they can make rotations. Ty Lue can definitely make some adjustments. But the adjustments don't mean anything. Rotations don't mean anything. None of that means anything unless you bring the effort. And what I saw yesterday was a team who was lackluster on the effort end, especially in the beginning of the game. Now, the second half, they looked like they were trying to, ramp it up a little bit, trying to, they looked a little bit more engaged late first half going in the second half. But by the time it was late first half, I mean, Dallas had already had, a decent lead. I mean, in the beginning of the game, Dallas was up 17-6. You know what I'm saying? Dallas came out and put their imprint on the game, and they really just kind of took it from there. And no point in this game did it ever really feel like Dallas wasn't in control. Even when the game was tied or they were down one or down two or down 3 or 4, it just seemed like Dallas was in full control because you couldn't stop Luka Doncic. You couldn't stop the rest of the team. I mean, Finney Smith, all of them. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, me personally, we could talk about what defense they should have been in and all this other type of stuff, but me personally, none of that really matters. My opinion, let Luka drop 60 points as far as I'm concerned, but don't let none of the others drop 20 plus points. Tim Hardaway Jr. doesn't need to have 5 or 6, 4 or 5 threes made easily, and 3 or 4 of them he's wide open. Finney Smith don't need to hit 4 or 5 threes himself. Brunson, the little point guard, backup point guard, whatever they got, he doesn't need to come out there and show any type of dominance himself. Shut down all the other guys and let Luka drop 60, as far as I'm concerned, and you'll win the series. That's just the way it is. I mean, we can talk about the X's and O's. We could talk about what defense they should have been in. We could talk about, all these rotations and everything Ty Lue should have did. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I agree with a lot of people that I read the comments and see what other people say about Ty Lue. His rotation, sometimes how he do things is questionable. It really is. And, it's going to become even more questionable if they don't win this next game. But at the same time, nobody can make up for effort and energy. And I just didn't see that from the Clippers like I thought I would. I mean, you rested 2 games. You blew 2 games where you left Kawhi Leonard and Paul George did not play the last 2 games of the season, and you took out most of your starters. So that was Ty Lue's decision. He went with it, and he thought that's what was best for the team, and that's fine. But at the same time, did that really help your team? Was that really the answer? You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna take it that it was the answer because he said it was for health reasons. So we're gonna go with that. Cool. If it's for health reasons, no problem. No problem at all. We'll definitely go with that. But at the same time, I don't care what the reason is for why any of that happened. Only thing I care about, is what I saw yesterday put on display on the floor. And what I saw on the floor just wasn't a team with that energy and effort. If you look at the Dallas Mavericks yesterday, they had every player on the floor played with energy. Not 1 or 2 players. Every player on the floor played with energy. Every player on the floor looked engaged. They might have missed a couple shots, but they made, if they missed a couple shots, they made good, they tried on defense. They played hard on defense, made, good defense, made defensive stops when they needed to. And this is what I'm saying. Everybody on Dallas looked like they had the energy, like they was just the better team. And this is what I'm tired of. We got to stop giving the Clippers credit like they're such a better team. You're only better by what you put out on the floor. You're only a good team if you put the product out on the floor that way. You cannot keep pretending that you're a good team and you're not playing it and you're not putting it on display. And games like these are giveaway games to me. And I'm not going to sit here and say the Clippers aren't a good team, because they are. The Clippers are the better team in this series. You know, there's no doubt about that. They're the better team in this series. But if you don't play like you're the better team, well, it's just a bunch of words. And, you know, when you look at the Clippers from a standpoint of how they should be rather than the way they played yesterday, it raises a lot of eyebrows. You got all the talent in the world. You got Kawhi Leonard. You got Paul George. You got Rondo. I mean, what's the problem? Dorian Finney-Smith? Are you kidding me? A dude named Brunson? I mean, he did won a couple of national championships in college, but he wasn't no, like, you know, top pick or top recruit. He wasn't no, like, superstar coming out of college. He wasn't no Zion Williamson coming out of college. He wasn't nobody like that. He wasn't no John Morant coming out of college. I mean, he wasn't, but look how he played yesterday. He played with energy. And like I said in yesterday's video, I truly believe, I mean, he outscored Reggie Jackson. I mean, Reggie Jackson is in the starting lineup for what? What do you have Reggie Jackson in the starting lineup for if he can't sit there and convert no more than 2 to 5 points in a playoff game where every game matters? Every game matters. He didn't even show up. I mean, he was a non-factor. And like I said yesterday in my other video, where was Marcus Morris? Marcus Morris, I mean, honestly, I didn't even know he played yesterday. You could have made a case whether he even showed up yesterday to the arena. Or maybe that was just his brother playing, Markieff Morris, and he didn't know the rotations, or he didn't know the system that that the Clippers run. Maybe his brother came to play, since they look alike so much, and we can't really tell the difference. Maybe that wasn't Marcus. Maybe it was his brother Markieff. Maybe, I don't know. But Marcus Morris was nowhere to be found. All the good shooting he was doing in the regular season, knocking down big shots, you got to come through. You got to come through, bro. And like I said, I know it's only one game, but one game matters in the playoffs, because one game can decide the series going forward. Let's just say hypothetically, if let's hypothetically say the Dallas Mavericks go up 2-1 in this series. You see what I'm saying? This one game matters, because instead of it being 2-1, you know, maybe the Clippers would be up 2-1 or 3-0 if Dallas don't build on this momentum. Because when you go up 1-0 in a series and you don't have the home court advantage, that's a big game. That's a big difference. Clippers had the home court advantage. Now Dallas does. So this one game, it does matter. It's not the end all be all of the series. No, I'm not going to sit there and say it's the end all be all of the series, because it's not. But at the same time, does it matter? Yes, it does. It matters, because the Clippers should have won this game. They should have been in control, and they still should have home court advantage, which means more pressure should be put on Dallas. Now the pressure is on the Clippers, because they have to win next game. They can't go down 0-2. Not saying if they went down 0-2, they couldn't come back and win the series, but it's a whole lot more harder when you're down 0-2 trying to come back and win 4 straight. It's much harder, because now Dallas' confidence will be up even higher, and now it'll be the same thing like last year. The Nuggets got confidence last year that they could really beat this team, and they really went out and did it. And this is what I'm saying. The pick and roll, the Clippers struggle at. And I don't know why Ty Lue doesn't see that, doesn't fix that, or doesn't address that enough to where these guys are getting it. But maybe he is addressing it. Maybe these guys just don't want to do it, because it's quite obvious the weaknesses that you see with this team. And this is why I said, you can sit here, you can say anything you want, but it's going to be hard to convince Kawhi Leonard to stay with a team that just can't play basketball the way they're supposed to. There's no reason why your superstar should go out there and have more energy than 90% of the rest of the team. Like I said in yesterday's video, Rondo came out with energy. You know, Zubac came out with a little bit. You know, Patrick Beverley always. And then Kawhi Leonard, of course. Kawhi Leonard looked like he wanted to win. I mean, Kawhi Leonard had that look in his eye like it is playoff time. It is time for me to go out here and play defense. Anything I need to do to win. Kawhi had like 25 points with like 9 or 10 rebounds with like 5 assists, 6 assists, give her, and he had like 4 or 5 steals. That's championship winning type basketball. That's championship winning type basketball. Do the little things, do the intangibles, do the things that can help you win. When your superstar gets when your superstar gets 5 steals in a game, everybody should ramp up the defense when they see their superstar getting 5 steals in a game and having 20 plus points, 25 plus points with that. That is championship mentality type basketball. The only problem is Kawhi can't teach it to those others. See, like I said, I know what Rondo gonna do. I know Patrick Beverley gonna give me energy if he don't give me anything else. And he's an improved 3-point shooter. He showed that yesterday. And Zubac is gonna play his role within his means, which he did yesterday. Gave him a little bit of energy. But where was Paul George in the first half? I don't want to hear Paul George just showed up in the second half. It's 2 halves to a basketball game. We don't just play the second half in basketball games. We play the first half and we play the second half. 90% of the time, the first half dictates how the second half gonna go. There's times where teams will, be resilient in the second half and make runs and stuff like that. I get that, but this is what I'm saying. You need to set the tone if you're the better team. You need to go out there and put your foot on Dallas's throat and don't let up. Because if you think you're just going to come out here and play better the second half all the time, well, you're going to lose a lot of games that way. Because these other teams are playing good the first half and they're playing good the second half. They're not waiting. So I don't want to hear nothing about, Paul George, he played better in the second half. I gave him credit yesterday on the video I made yesterday about him, playing better in the second half. Because, he deserves that credit. But at the same time, we still need more from him than that. When I saw him a couple weeks ago, when he was dropping 30 points in all them games, he was playing good the first half and the second half. So why can't he do it now? And this is what they need out of Paul George. They don't need that lagging, because the lagging that he showed in the first half, what did it look like? It looked like same old playoff P or way off P, whatever you want to call him. It looked like that same thing over and over again. And Rondo kept giving him the ball when Rondo came in just to get him going. But it shouldn't take Rondo to get you going. You're a star player in this league. You should know how to get yourself going. You are 6'8", 6'7". Drive to the basket some. Don't settle for jumpers. Richard Jefferson said it yesterday in the game. Use your length and your wingspan to get in that paint and draw fouls and make the defense respect you. Because when your jump shot isn't falling, you have got to do other things. Like I said, if you look at Kawhi Leonard yesterday, he was doing everything. Defense, guarding Luka some, going, switching back and forth through screens. I mean, he was driving in the paint some, trying to draw fouls, went to the free throw line, got some points there, hit some jumpers, knocked down a couple threes. This is what I'm saying. You got to play with that type of sense of urgency. Paul George should know this. He knows these things, but it's like he just doesn't do it. And I hope the rest of this series, he does exactly what he does what he's supposed to do. Because if he doesn't, I promise you, I don't care what Kawhi Leonard does. I don't care what Rondo does. If Paul George don't play how he was playing a couple weeks ago in the regular season, this is going to be a quick series for Dallas. Because like I said, they don't have an answer for Luka. They don't have an answer for the pick and roll. And Porzingis had an off game yesterday. Let that sink in. Porzingis had an off game yesterday, and Dallas still won by 10 points. Their second best player went 4 for 13, I believe, and they still won by 10 points. That's not good. That's a really bad sign. And if Clippers fans really think everything is just going to be okay, It's not going to be okay unless they change their ways, unless they change what they're doing. And like I said before in my previous videos, I don't care what rotation you put in. I don't care what switch or anything Ty Lue does. You cannot teach effort. You cannot teach somebody to play with energy and effort. And when you look at the Dallas Mavericks yesterday, they do not have a better roster from top to bottom than the Clippers. The Clippers have a better roster from top to bottom than the Dallas Mavericks. But the difference was the Dallas Mavericks played with the energy and effort that the Clippers didn't play with, or at least some of the Clippers. Because I saw it from a few Clippers players. I just didn't see it from all of them. And that's the problem. The Clippers play lackadaisical and they get lackadaisical results. And like I said, keep messing around and it just might be possible if they lose this series or whatever series, if they don't make it to the finals or whatever, it just might be possible you lose Kawhi Leonard. Because I just don't see Kawhi Leonard being happy with a team where it's just not going right. Kawhi Leonard has the best win percentage, like, of all time in the playoffs. Kawhi, let that sink in. Kawhi has the best winning percentage of all time in the playoffs. Why the hell do you think he want to keep losing? I really doubt that. So my point is this. Don't let Kawhi Leonard be the only one out there getting steals and, trying to dive for loose balls or whatever, or get extra rebounds, or, don't let him be the one just doing that. The team needs to mimic what they see their best player do. Energy, effort is where it's going to start. And energy and effort is what's going to beat the Dallas Mavericks. If you outwork the Dallas Mavericks, you're definitely going to beat them because you got more talent than they got. But if Lil Brunson and Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber and Tim Hardaway Jr.'s, if they outwork you and out physical you, then they're gonna win the series. And that's the only way they can beat the Clippers is out physical them and outwork them and have more energy and play with more effort. And that's what they did yesterday. Because like I said, there's no way Dallas should have won yesterday with their second best player. Porzingis having an off game. There's no way they should have won. And if they did win, it shouldn't have been by double digits. And that's my point. Clippers got to get that right. But hey, that's my take on the situation. This is the day after the disaster in game 1 of the NBA playoffs between the Clippers and Mavericks. But we'll see how it goes going forward. We'll see exactly, what adjustments are made, and we'll see how much energy they have next time. Because now it's almost like their back is against the wall. You can't go down 0-2. The series is really tough then. And I'm not saying if the Clippers went down 0-2, they couldn't win, but it's a whole lot harder to be down 0-2 rather than be 1-1. It really is. So, it's going to be a tough series. I said, I told somebody I knew, I said, I think this might be a 7-game series possibly. I don't know if it's true that the Clippers tried to avoid the Lakers or whoever they tried to avoid in the first round. We won't never know that part. But it doesn't matter whether they tried to avoid anybody or not. I hope they didn't because they might have ran into a buzzsaw in the Dallas Mavericks. You might have had a better chance against Portland. Maybe. Because Dallas played you last year. Dallas know what your weaknesses are. Dallas know how to play you because they played you last year. It might have been more smarter to play Portland in the first round if they could have. Yeah. Because Damian Lillard never played the Clippers in a 7-game series. Dallas played you last year, so you think they don't remember and know how you run your sets and know how you run your offense? They know exactly how you run your offense because it's pretty predictable. So it might have been smarter to play a Portland the first round who don't really know anything too much about you because they haven't played you in a 7-game series. You might have had the mental edge over them, but Dallas, you're not going to have the mental edge over them because they're mentally prepared for you because they lost to you last year. And they lost to you last year in 6 games without Porzingis. Now that they have Porzingis, they feel confident that they can actually beat you. So they might have, really, the Clippers might have made a huge mistake. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's really early to tell. But like I said, that's just my take on the situation. Let me know what you think in the comment section and leave any comments, and we can engage and go from there next time.